So today is the communication for hearing parents who have deaf children. Because I am, as myself, and knowing other hearing parents that have deaf children and how they don't communicate or help their deaf children because of communication problem. So I'm here to give you some tips and share some stories on how this can help and hurt your deaf child's future. Okay? Be free. You are welcome to say or leave some comments in the comment. Express your feelings, your thoughts with me, because we are going to have a communication. All right, so communication as a hearing parent. My story. Okay, I was adopted at the age of 5. Well, nope, I lied. I was adopted at the age of 2. My parents found out about my deafness at the age of 5. And instead of them learning about the deaf community and the culture and the ASL, I think they've already decided, no, we don't want her to learn ASL. We don't want her to be in the deaf community. Because for some unknown reason, ASL and the deaf community make hearing people afraid. I don't know why. So, growing up, I had to go to mainstream school. I had to go to public school my whole entire life. Elementary is the one school that I've been by myself as a deaf person. My parents did not want me to learn ASL, and they did not want me to be involved in the deaf community, so I had no clue what that was. My parents also made me, put me in speech therapy, so I had to learn how to speak and talk, and so this is why I'm able to talk. Yes. But the problem is I grew up very lost, very isolated and alone. I always struggle accepting who I am and never knowing who I am. First, I want to say I already don't know who I am. Why? Because I'm adopted. So I don't know nothing about my background, my family history of where I come from, or who's my real mom and dad. I don't know none of that. So that's one. And then growing up, and then my adopted parents did not want me to be involved in the deaf community. So I had no clue what that was. And so my struggle as a deaf child growing up, my parents and my family never learned ASL, so they just spent a lot of time yelling at me. They yelled at me, or they just excluded me from family conversation. Why? Because I couldn't hear, couldn't understand what they were saying, and I'm trying. And I had one, I promise you, I feel like this was a traumatic experience for me. Why? Because I'm a child growing up, and my family was very religious, and so I spend a lot of time in church, and I spend a lot of time with people putting their hands on me and praying for me. Pray for it. And I'm not saying I don't believe in God. I'm not saying I don't believe in God. I am a true believer of God. But as a child, that's kind of like a scary experience, because you have people putting hands on your ears, and it makes you feel like something is really wrong with you. What's wrong with me? Why they keep praying for me? Why they keep trying to make me feel like something is wrong and I'm a burden and I'm just broken? Made me feel like I was a broken person. So I never really accept myself. Never really learned who I am as a person. And I grew up in high school. I take that back. I went to junior high, middle school, and that's when, well, my mom has already died like 2 weeks before I started junior high. My dad, he finally put me in a school that, it was a mainstream school, but they had a small program for deaf and hard of hearing students. This is my first time meeting deaf students like me. I was like, oh, there's other people like me. Wow. What is that they doing with their hand? I don't know what that is. What? That's more like me? I'm not by myself? What? Huh? Huh? So even though they were signing at school and it was deaf at the school, but we went, like I said, it was a public school, so the teachers there were not allowing us to use sign at the school. So we were not allowed to use sign at the school. We were forced to use our voices. So again, we're not accepted. We're not encouraged to be who we are. And then I went to high school, again, another mainstream school, and I didn't have an interpreter. I didn't know sign. I just was living like a hearing person, but I just had a hearing impairment. Hate those words. Stop using it. We don't like that word. I have nothing impairment about me. I'm not broken. Yeah, I'm deaf, but I'm not impaired. It's very offensive to the deaf community that we use the word hearing impairment. It's either deaf or hard of hearing. Do not use anything else. Okay? We're not deaf mute. We're not deaf dumb. Those things I heard when I was growing up. And I actually believe that I was deaf and dumb because that's what people told me when I was growing up. Because people didn't have time for me. People didn't spend, they didn't give me their time to learn. They wasn't patient. They wasn't understanding. They wasn't doing none of that. They was like, yeah, they put you on the side and they allow you to fail. They allow you to fail, fail your grade, and they didn't have the resources that they need to help you. So I grew up, and I'm going to tell you this story, and it's kind of hard, but I grew up I really wasn't as smart growing up because I feel like I really didn't get the education that I needed because I was struggling trying to hear, struggling trying to understand what's going on in class, and but it was hard. So I had to do the best I can. Okay, and so I just noticed, I noticed that I was always having a hard time reading. I ain't saying deaf people we can read, but if we don't have the help to help us understand what we're reading and help us how to read, and didn't really have someone to spend time with me to really teach me. It's like, it's whatever. You're here. You learn whatever you can and then keep moving. I had decided to go back to college, right? And when I moved to another state, I'm an adult now. I'm an adult. I have my first son. And I decided I wanted to go back to college because I wanted to have a degree because, I wanted a better life for my future and my children's life. And I had to take this evaluation test, and it said that I had a 7th grade level reading. And I'm like, that's embarrassing. But I knew that I had a hard time reading. I mean, not now, I don't. Why? Because I taught myself how to do better. But I can see, I'm reflecting on my life, and I can understand why I'm here with this 7th grade. Now, I'm not now. I mean, like I said, I'm smart now. I can read better now than I was 10 years ago.